Howard Tipton, and I serve as the County Administrator for St. Lucie County, and this is our March 31st, 4/15 COVID-19 update. As of today, we have 6,096 confirmed cases in the state of Florida. Actually, those are Florida resident cases, 242 non-Florida resident cases. Yesterday, Florida's overall cases went up by 875, one of our largest increases in a single day. St. Lucie County, we are currently at 33 cases, and we've had 2 fatalities. Martin County has 28, and Indian River is at 30 cases. This afternoon, I wanted to share with you my intent to authorize a safer-in-place order for St. Lucie County. We are watching the case numbers, and without robust testing, it's impossible to know exactly the health position of our community. Our geographic proximity to South Florida and our relationship with the Northeast United States also creates some concerns. And so to preserve community health and identify activities that are still okay, St. Lucie County is implementing the safer-in-place order that will go into effect this Saturday, April the 4th. This is not a shelter-in-place order. It is not that restrictive. It is a message to our community to stay in place when you can. It is a message to our businesses that if you can maintain the proper social distancing requirements, then you can stay open. If you cannot, then you should close. It preserves the ability to do the things that are important and necessary. This is especially true for our most vulnerable populations. But we need your help, especially in the business community, to make this work. Under this order, for example, construction is an allowable activity. Now, on Monday, as I was driving in to work from my neighborhood, we have a utility project that's underway. I watched 5 individuals get out of a truck and then go to their job site. The fact that your job site is social distancing appropriate is fine. The fact that you had 5 individuals from a different household in the same truck sitting next to each other is not so good. So you're going to have to work with us here. Construction is an allowable activity. I want to make sure that we're keeping our workplaces clean and that they're regularly being cleaned during the day. Keep your contact with customers at a safe distance. I've seen a number of stores now that have lines that have been taped out so that their customers can maintain that safe distances, and that's the kind of attention to detail that we need to keep everybody safe, and I appreciate that cooperation. As part of St. Lucie County's efforts to reduce our business footprint during this time, all St. Lucie County buildings and offices, with the exception of critical mission and emergency offices, will be closed Fridays through the month of April. We continue to offer essential services during the week and critical services like utilities and 911 services 24/7. By reducing the number of our team roaming the community by 20%, I believe we are helping to keep our team and the community safer. We are working with the Economic Development Commission of St. Lucie County to help our businesses connect with the resources that are becoming available. Non-essential businesses that are unable to maintain the proper social distancing to keep customers and employees safe, as I've mentioned, should close. Businesses who have questions about this order and the impacts on them can call the EDC at 772-336-6258. We understand that these are incredible times for us. While we may have planned for a pandemic, actually working through it is a whole nother experience. I've only been doing this just about 4 decades, and I will tell you I am making some of the strangest decisions that I've ever made in my entire career. But we do all of this to make sure that we're keeping our community safe and that we're keeping each other safe. With that now, I'd like to introduce the Chair of St. Lucie County Commission, Kathy Townsend, for a few remarks.
Thank you, Howard. So basically what I want to do is I know that over the last couple of weeks you've all been given a lot of information and it's overwhelming. So I just want to try to simplify some things today and put some things into perspective. There was last week a question asked about Florida Power and Light, and I don't know that that question's ever really been answered. I've had conversations with Florida Power and Light. They, as well as the Fort Pierce Utility Authority, your Port St. Lucie utilities, and our utility services will not be disconnecting and turning off any of your services. And there will be opportunities to work out your payments once all this passes. So I want you to know that the city of Fort Pierce, Port St. Lucie, and the county, as well as Florida Power and Light, will not be suspending any of your services. So you can all rest comfortably in knowing that you will have the utilities that you need. In this order, I think there's going to be a lot of other questions that come up, and I want you to understand it's important that this is not a curfew. You are going to be allowed to go and do the things you need to do. You're going to be able to go out and about as long as you're practicing your safety and your sanitization and everything. We are not looking to go out there and have people arrested. It's because people are choosing to not follow the recommendations. So we feel that it's important to move a little bit further with moving towards this action. I've had several comments and complaints and emails over the last couple of days about parks and certain areas being closed. I'm going to reference one in general, and that is the Queens Cove. People, when you see a caution tape up there and you see gates closed and locked, it does not mean to climb over them. It means to stay away from them, please. And if you do not continue to follow these recommendations, you will lead us to have to close the facilities and then put law enforcement in place. We do not want to do that. We want you to go out. We want you to enjoy the parks that are there, walk your dog, keep your social distancing, and enjoy the wonderful things and opportunities that we have on the Treasure Coast. But there's a reason why certain things have been closed and locked up and tape is put there. So please, when you go up to an area, do not move forward if you see caution tape and gates locked. Golf courses are remaining open. However, I've also had calls, and an independent private course, we cannot say to them to close or stay open. It's up to the individual golf course. The county's golf course, Fairwinds, is closed at this time. And I know that Mr. Tipton referenced certain scenarios, and one of the scenarios I want to say to all of you is that if you're going to go golf, that's a wonderful thing. It's enjoying the fresh air, but you need to go individually in separate cars, and when you get there, you need to all have your own individual golf cart. If you and a husband and wife are going, obviously it's okay. Please go together, and you can share a golf cart, but we want you to remain isolated and distancing of the 6 foot. We are looking at opening back up our Fairwinds golf course, but we will not do that until we know that all the procedures can be put into place to make it a safe golf course for you to be able to go there. Again, Mr. Tipton did give out the phone number that the EDC has. We want to encourage you. If you have questions, comments, please, that number has been set up. We do not want our businesses compromised any more than they are at this time. And I think it's really, really important for everybody to understand that this is not to hurt or to harm any of our businesses. It is simply to put a procedure in place so that you can move forward and you can do the best that you can to stay open for business. We want you to stay isolated. We want you to be able to have a work environment that's safe. And as long as you're doing that, we want you to remain open. I think that this is very, very important. And for me, especially, as well as I know the rest of my board, conversations I've had with both cities, as well as people in Martin and St. Lucie, I think as a commissioner, we all want you to survive. We all want you to remain open for business, but we want you to also do the safe precautionary measures. And that's what this is really about, is because we still have people not willing to follow the recommendations that we've tried to put out there. So in order to be safe, in order to stop this, this is why we have been led to be able to put this order in place. I want to close by just saying that I know that you all are working hard to understand this difficult time right now. And as many of you live just one crisis away from a dependency, we all recognize that. And I think we're all just hanging on to something that makes us feel safe, and we just want to find that okay right now. While the coronavirus has changed the world as we once knew it, the kindness of people is always a reminder that nothing can take away the unity of our great community and the crisis that we're going through today. I want to thank those of you that continue to email my office and call. My office remains open. I appreciate it when you call. I appreciate the kind words you've said. I want our staff to know that I've received multiple emails and texts thanking you for the services that you've been doing. And I think it's important for you to know that the community is recognizing the efforts from everybody as well as the press. And I want to end by again thanking the first responders, our medical professionals, our healthcare workers, and any of you that are on the front line today and every day keeping us safe. I just want to say thank you from all of us, because your selfless sacrifice is really our beacon of light right now during such a dark time in our world, and no amount of praise, gratitude will ever be enough for you. So because of your courage, you've given us all a fighting chance, and please just pay attention to the recommendations, be mindful of the orders that we have. We don't want to have to go further. We want you to all abide by the recommendations that we're putting out on this order. And just know from a business perspective, we love you, we embrace you, and we're just still trying to make it so that you can do your business and just do it safely. Have a great night.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One of the things that we do is none of this in a vacuum. And so we have obviously been in conversation with our neighboring counties as well as our municipalities as we've moved forward with this order. And I'd like to bring up now the Chair of Martin County, Harold Jenkins, for a few words. Chair Jenkins.
Good afternoon. My name is Harold Jenkins, Chair of the Martin County Board of County Commissioners. Martin County will be holding a special meeting this Friday, April 3rd at 9 a.m. Waiting until Friday will provide reasonable notice for our meeting. At our meeting, we'll discuss joining other Florida communities in adopting a safer at-home order, and what that will look like in Martin County. Our goal is to collaborate with our neighboring counties to ensure the Treasure Coast is kept as safe and as secure as possible. We'll get through this together. Let's all stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and we look forward to working with you on that. And I will say, too, that we've been in conversation with Indian River County, and they are considering an order as well. And we just don't know exactly what that might look like at this time. But certainly as a Treasure Coast, we want to be as unified as we can as we move forward. Next, I'd like to invite Clint Sperber up to give a Health Department update.
Thank you, Howard. Clint Sperber, Health Officer of St. Lucie County. What's important to remember is these measures are in place because we currently do not have medicine to treat the virus and there's no vaccine to prevent it. So that's really why you are seeing these measures happen in St. Lucie, our neighboring counties across the state and the country. Prevention is critical, and everyone has a responsibility to prevent the spread of the virus. So in St. Lucie County, as of 1 p.m. today, we have 33 cases. 31 are of St. Lucie residents, 2 of non-Florida residents. From a health department perspective, what our main job is, and there's several of them, but what this virus is, we need to continue our contact tracing. When we identify a positive case, we need to work with those individuals. We need to issue our quarantine recommendations, our isolation recommendations, along with self-monitoring and some of the other nuances that we learn about when we speak to them. So our health department staff are also in communication daily with our long-term care facilities, dialysis centers, and our hospitals. We're working with our emergency management as well to identify strategies to help hospitals in case there is a surge needed in the community, to have a strategy where we could assist the hospitals to provide care in the community. So one thing that we will be sending out a little bit later today through the county is a news release to help recruit qualified medical professionals. This will be either licensed or non-licensed into our Medical Reserve Corps to help in case the need arises. And also one thing that the state has done to help us out in each of our counties is they contracted with private ambulance companies to also go out to the long-term care facilities. So in St. Lucie County, there are 89 of them to help give us another set of eyes to make sure that those who are most at risk understand from the management perspective, if somebody does go into the facility, that they understand the guidelines that we've been sharing with them on a daily basis. They know how to do temperature checks to make sure that whoever is entering those facilities are capable and should be inside those facilities. Now, testing has been a big issue. We hear about it a lot across the country, across the state, and there have been a lot of efforts ramped up nationally as well as statewide to increase our testing capabilities. You know, from a state perspective, as of a day ago, I know we ranked number 4 in the country for testing. From a federal and state perspective, we're also focusing on where community transmission is taking place. We know that numbers have also increased, as Howard mentioned, and that is because testing has increased across the state. The turnaround time on the commercial labs has increased from 7 to 10 days to, in some cases, 1 day to 2 day turnaround time. So I'm not saying that's with every commercial lab, but that is one of the reasons why we are seeing a quicker turnaround time of testing. Again, we do encourage residents to keep using the prevention measures that we've been speaking about for the past 3 to 4 weeks. Monitor yourself. If you feel sick, stay home. Do not rush to the hospital. Do not rush to your medical provider. Call them and let them help you manage your own symptoms. Don't rush to the ERs. That's very, very critical. The hospitals need to be there for those who are most at risk. Of course, dial 911 if you feel really sick, and they will ask you questions about your temperature and some of the other symptoms that we've been focusing on, just so that they can protect themselves as long as protect you when they arrive there. In that stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Clint. Up next, we have Russ Blackburn, the city manager for the city of Port St. Lucie.
Thank you, Howard. Port St. Lucie continues to operate under a declared local state of emergency. Some of the efforts we've taken to adapt to the COVID-19 virus include eliminating in-person meetings in our buildings, suspending or closing or canceling our events, a number of our programs that we offer to our citizens. We've expanded our access to all of our services online. Get a building permit, you can pay for the building permit, you can even get inspections done using your telephone to show your compliance. And we're using our drop boxes, the drive-in window, all as methods to reduce the potential to spread COVID-19. We support the efforts of Incident Commander Tipton to adopt a safer at-home order. We want our citizens to stay at home unless they're accessing essential services or going to and from work. We strongly encourage everyone to follow the CDC social distancing guidelines. We have the greatest shot at making a difference in slowing the spread of this virus if we all work together on these important guidelines. It's important for essential businesses to understand the guidelines and to observe them. Our city staff will be working to place information on our website and will be a resource to businesses how they can comply with the CDC guidelines. The Port St. Lucie City Council will hold a special meeting on Thursday, April 2nd at 3 p.m. to discuss the city's response to COVID-19. The public is able to watch this meeting on TV 20, the city's website, and on Facebook. There will be a link to the city's webpage where you can submit a public comment online. The city has closed public spaces where 10 or more people tend to gather, including our boat ramps, parks, the Mid-Florida Credit Union Events Center, and our Saints Golf Course. We've received a number of comments through social media expressing concern about gatherings that appear to be larger than 10. We are asking that you call 911 to report those gatherings, and we will dispatch a police officer promptly. Providing information through social media provides a record, but it doesn't allow us to investigate quickly. So for important city updates, please visit our landing page, www.cityofpsl.com/COVID-19. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce the mayor for the city of Fort Pierce, Mayor Linda Hudson.
Thank you, Howard. The City of Fort Pierce is committed to protecting the health and well-being of our community, and we continue to work with our partners like the county and the City of Port St. Lucie and our fellow counties to slow the spread of COVID-19. As of today, all City of Fort Pierce special event permits are canceled through April 30th. In addition, all shows and rentals at the Sunrise Theater will be canceled or postponed through April 30th. To assist local businesses that have been impacted by COVID-19, the City of Fort Pierce will allow temporary use of the right-of-way as a short-term pickup or drop-off zone. Businesses that would like to apply for this free temporary permit can do so online at www.cityoffortpierce.com. Like the City of Fort Pierce, the Fort Pierce Utilities Authority remains committed to providing all essential services to our community without interruption. FPUA is continuing to suspend all service disconnections for non-payment until further notice. Boat ramps are currently open, but recreational boaters must adhere to the new restrictions set forth by Fish and Wildlife Commission. Boats must stay at least 50 feet apart, and no more than 10 people can be aboard one vessel. Beaches are closed, but many parks are open as long as you maintain social distancing and follow all preventive measures. This is a critical time, and we are so fortunate to live in a free society. As reluctant as we are to impose restrictions, we are also very well aware of our responsibility to protect our citizens. You have one job: follow the CDC guidelines to slow the spread of this virus. Be smart, be safe, stay home, stay healthy, and we will be Fort Pierce strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Of course, we've got a lot of kids at home right now learning online, and so I'd like to have an update now from the St. Lucie County School District. This is Lydia Martin. She's their Communications Director.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As recommended by Governor DeSantis yesterday, our school campuses will remain closed through May 1st. During this time, we are committed to providing our employees and our parents with the necessary information to support them as we transition to a digital learning environment and an at-home work environment. Our school campuses are closed, however, we are open for learning and teaching virtually. I invite the public to visit our webpage regularly, www.stlucieschools.org. We post updated information daily. As stated before, we have made the transition to distance learning, and our students are now accessing, as of yesterday, their lessons online through our learning platform with support from their teachers. I want the public to know that the student schedules are flexible, and they do include offline activities as well. This allows for the sharing of digital devices within the home. Parents and students have received very specific directions based on the grade level and the program, how to access those programs. We have opened up a hotline, 772-429-HELP, to provide some additional support should our families need it. We recently launched a distance learning dashboard, and on this dashboard, which can be found linked to our homepage, there are how-to videos along with step-by-step directions on how to download and access their learning programs. In regards to our laptop deployment, we are currently distributing digital devices to students that do not already have a digital device in their home, and we are allowing each household to have one digital device so they can share amongst the students. As of today, we've deployed approximately 10,000 laptops through our Phase 1 and Phase 2 deployment, and we anticipate deploying an additional 5,000 laptops this week during Phase 3. St. Lucie Public Schools continues to provide free meals to our children, and we do so Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. These are grab-and-go style packages that include a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. And to date, we have served over 55,000 meals. We know this is needed, and we're happy to be able to provide this service. In the North County, our feeding sites are C.A. Moore Elementary, Forest Grove, F.K. Suite, Fort Pierce Westwood Academy, Lakewood Park, St. Lucie Elementary, Weatherby, and White City. In the east part of our county, the sites are Morningside Elementary, Northport K-8, North St. Lucie High School, River's Edge Elementary. On the western side of our county, those sites are Bayshore Elementary, Manatee, Oak Hammock, Westgate, and Wilma Point. On behalf of the superintendent, I'd like to publicly thank our employees who are so dedicated and our supportive parents who are there every step of the way as we work through this unprecedented time. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia, and certainly we thank the teachers and the staff. I can't think of too many businesses that have been as disrupted as our school system, so we appreciate all that you're doing. Just some final comments. There's light at the end of the tunnel. We understand every day more about this disease and how we can deal with it. I also believe that we are all coming to grips, as Chair Townsend said, with what appears to be a new normal for some period of time. Keeping some distance, good hygiene are all the things that we're going to be doing. And hopefully the good hygiene is a permanent thing. I do have two additional requests. First, to our faith communities, we appreciate your prayers and your support throughout this event. Many of you have gone to social distancing with your congregations, and we thank you for that. We know that you're charged with the spiritual care of your people and also their well-being too. The more you can do electronically, the better that is for everyone. The more you can keep groups small and separated, the same benefits are true. Please heed the advice of our healthcare system as you plan your activities. Second, to our visitors and part-time residents from the New York tri-state area, know that we love you. But if you have recently come back to our area, you need to be aware that the governor has placed an executive order, 2082, that requires you to shelter in place for 14 days from the date that you get here. That means you are not to be out and about trying to do your daily business. We had a situation where someone just came down from New York and went into our tax collector's office to take care of some routine paperwork, just to update some records. That is not a reason to put the public or the tax collector's staff in jeopardy. You need to stay home until we have 14 days go by. With all that said, there is absolutely hope in our future that we will get through this event and that there will be some normal life ahead. We just have to attend to business right now, and that business is keeping everyone safe and well. St. Lucie County continues to be at an activation level 2 for our Emergency Operations Center, and that completes our briefing for this day. We're happy to answer any questions.
You mentioned the New Yorkers and I guess New Jersey people as well from the Northeast, but how can you possibly identify, who's from the Northeast and when they came down in a community like this that is so linked to that region?
Yeah. We really can. It's really a message of self-responsibility, individual responsibility. If you have come down here recently, please be aware that you may have been exposed to something, COVID-19 up in New York, and we would love for you to stay in place, shelter in place as we get through this time. It's impossible for us to identify who they are. We need everybody to be responsible for their own behaviors.
What happened between Friday and today for the county to move closer toward a safer at-home ordinance?
So we started working on this last Wednesday. It's an important tool to have in your toolkit, much like we do for hurricane preparations. We always want to continue to think about what's next. And so as we looked at the information, we looked at what was going on in South Florida, our proximity to South Florida, as well as some of the interactions that we've had from people returning from the Northeast. We looked at the chance for kind of in-migration of the disease, and that was a concern. And so we want to just make sure that we're getting this message out that we want everybody to stay in place. The other thing that we recognize, too, is that, as was mentioned by several speakers, we're trying to buy time. That's the biggest thing that we're trying to do. And if we have the opportunity to help our healthcare workers buy some time so that they can get ultimately the supplies that they need, our first responders, the same thing, then that's what we should be about. And so that's why this step was taken today and will be effective on Saturday.
Regarding this safer at home order, we hear from some people who are sort of critical of those, just saying, there's no law enforcement capacity to it. There's nothing you can do to punish someone who doesn't listen to this. So really, what will this change, maybe going into this weekend compared to last weekend? And does it have any teeth to really make a difference?
Well, there actually is some teeth in it, but it is not our intent to use that. We don't want to be, the last thing we want to do is add more people to the jail right now. That would not be that wouldn't be on anybody's agenda. What we're trying to do is just, I think, increase the level of awareness that this is a situation which has been difficult for all of us to get our heads around. This is an invisible hurricane that we're dealing with, right? We can't see it, we can't touch it, and yet it's having a huge impact on people around us. And so we just want to make sure that people understand that we are taking this to the next level. We are reducing operations further to enhance the public safety, and we want everybody else to be doing the same thing. It's an important message to get out there.
What were the teeth in the ordinance that you mentioned? I know you said you're not going to really focus on that, but what is the teeth in the ordinance?
On the, I think on the very last page of the ordinance, I believe this is a second-degree misdemeanor. The law enforcement were to find somebody not in compliance, but again, that is not our intent. That would be a last resort. That would be it. Now, if you're a knucklehead, let me just say, if you are intent on putting others in danger, then you will see the men in green or from our municipal police departments. That is you are putting others in danger, and we will not tolerate that. That is a rare exception under this. We are looking for voluntary compliance as we have all along. And I will say that we've seen great compliance so far. Coming to work today, just as an example, normally there's about 75 cars turning off of 95 onto Okeechobee. There were 2, myself and one other, this morning at 7:30. That's telling me that the business community is slowing down or finding alternate ways to do their business. And it tells me that people are staying home. That's all we can ask for.
I was going to see if Mr. Blackburn would be willing to answer a question. Just, regarding requesting people to call 911 if they see large gatherings, look, I don't know if you've had communication with the police department. Are they prepared for that? I mean, I would imagine that could be quite an influx of calls coming in.
Well, we are, and that actually was guidance from our police department. So what we've seen is people emailing us in, Facebooking photos of people gathering in parks, and by the time we investigate, the gathering is over. So it may be that that same group that played soccer on one of our fields on Saturday comes back this next Saturday. If we can get a more prompt response, which is our goal, to ensure that they understand very clearly that we don't allow gathering in our parks. So that is a specific request from the police department, so they can actually be effective.
And my question also segues into that, and also to Mr. Tipton, because everyone has mentioned that you've seen a lot of people, even though you said a lot of the traffic has slowed down in businesses, but you've also said that people are not following all the recommendations. And we are getting so many calls. What do people do when they're at work, some of these essential businesses that are still allowed open, and the employees are calling us and saying, we feel unsafe at work, we don't have adequate precautions here, there's too many people in the elevators? Obviously, they're not going to call 911 on their employers. What sort of advice do you have for all these concerned people?
So I think we can both answer that, but talk to their supervisor. The CDC guidelines are really very effective. And I know at the city of Port St. Lucie, we've worked very hard to make sure if we have a meeting, everyone is 6 feet apart, that we don't have more than 9 people in a room, and it's very doable. There are some businesses that the nature of their business makes it very difficult to do that, and the owners, the managers, have to think about alternative ways of doing business to ensure that their employees and their customers are safe.
Under this order, and it's a great question, under this order, if you are not able to operate safely within the CDC guidelines, then you are asked to close. And so for those employees that find themselves in those situations, they need to be creative. There are all kinds of ways, as we're seeing. People are finding ways to work from home or alternative ways to deliver service, and that's what we really want. But if they're just not able to do that, and you're not able to maintain those safety margins, then we are asking you to close.
Just to follow up on what Commissioner Jenkins was saying, that the Martin County Commissioners are going to vote, if I understood correctly, Friday on a stay-at-home order. Are the St. Lucie County Commissioners going to do that kind of formality?
Yes, that's a great question. And so on April 7th, all of the administrative orders that have been executed so far, the board will have a chance to review and weigh in on all of those.
How does it look for the schedule of commission meetings and also Port St. Lucie City Council meeting and also Fort Pierce City Commission meetings as far as conducting business that you can conduct at these government meetings, that are supposed to be public, et cetera?
Right. So for St. Lucie County, we will be having our next meeting on April the 7th. It's an evening meeting starting at 6 o'clock. We encourage people to watch the program, watch the meeting. We will have these chairs will be sectioned off, so there will be sporadic seating for the public if you would like to attend. We are encouraging emails if you would like to have your position known. We have a call-in number for you if you would like to leave a voicemail for us. And we have protocols in place for if we were to have say a larger crowd than we feel comfortable in having. We have protocols in place where we will have a certain number come in. They will be able to share their piece, and then we will have them exit and bring in the next group. But for the 7th meeting, I can tell you from a planning perspective, we are trying to limit anything that would be controversial. It is not our intent to have anything controversial on for the April 7th meeting, because we are just trying to avoid crowd. All we're trying to do right now is keep the lights on. It's essential business.
Clint, could I ask you a couple questions too? Just
I'm sorry. Yes, George. Port St. Lucie held its first meeting on the 23rd. using the full CDC guidelines. We restricted the number of citizens in the room at any one time. We made sure that our council members were separated by at least 6 feet, as well as our staff. We used a tool called Zoom for applicants for land development projects to be able to provide their voice and their information and description of projects to the city council. It worked very well. We will use that same format this Thursday when we have a special meeting, and we're anticipating using the format for future city council meetings until further notice. It worked well. Again, you can follow the CDC guidelines and have government function effectively and efficiently, and people can participate. And so that's our goal.
Quickly add for the city of Fort Pierce, we have already had one special meeting this past week. We kept the social distancing guidelines. Our commissioners sat far apart. We had chairs roped off where you could sit and you could not sit. And we will be having our next meeting on April 6th. We'll probably refine it a little bit more so we can make sure that public input can be had if people can come to the meeting, but they must be socially distanced. And we will also have electronic ways of people being able to make public comment or participate in the meeting.
I just wanted just a few more details about this medical reserve. And if you said this, I apologize. Just how many medical professionals you would like to see on this reserve and how quickly you would like to have it all pulled together.
Well, thank you, and thank you for actually helping us recruit. So through the Medical Reserve Corps, it's a national program. We've had it here in St. Lucie County for well over 10 years. And what we are able to provide is sovereign immunity to any volunteer who signs up under this program. So what we're looking for are any specialties, whether they are medical or non-medical. So it can be anybody who actually has working knowledge of healthcare system to help out. Well, we have some numbers right now. The quicker that we can do it, I think will just help us to vet them properly. We still need to do background checks on them. So we need to go through a process, quick process, but a process just in case we get to those levels where we determine from a county perspective that we need to offload some of the help that the hospitals might need from us.
Also, just regarding testing, we've actually been in touch with some just local smaller labs, not these big national organizations, and they said that they've been wanting to offer their services, even if it's just to test 20 or 30 COVID-19 tests a day, and they haven't really been met with any kind of warm reception with either the hospitals. I don't know if they've reached out to the health department, but is there any reason local labs can't be a part of the testing?
I would say there's a couple of things, and in order for the testing, when we're looking at it, first off, it needs to be approved by the FDA. And we're looking at, there's several coronavirus tests out there, but you're looking for COVID-19 testing, number one. Number two, from a laboratory perspective, it still needs to be vetted through a Bureau of Laboratories to make sure that they have the proper licensure to do the testing that these companies say that they can do. So that's part of it right now. I can tell you from a state perspective and national perspective that we're still trying to get a lot of test kits, to come into the country and the state and here in St. Lucie County. But it's a process to do it. What I would say for some of those companies, if they are interested, then maybe that once they look at the proper licensure, that they can reach out to some of the larger medical institutions to see if they're willing to partner to do the testing for them.
All right, well, thank you all very much. I would be remiss if I did not thank our St. Lucie County employees who have just been amazing throughout this endeavor. I want to thank our incident commander, Ron Parrish. We have a unified command here with Clint and with Ron Parrish, and I appreciate their leadership as well. And just thanks to our elected officials and our appointed officials for all of their leadership during this time. With that, this concludes our briefing, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
We will now provide an alternative shortened version in both Spanish and Creole. El Condado de San Lucie ha emitido una orden de seguridad en el hogar para ayudar a prevenir la propagación de COVID-19, vigente a partir del sábado 4 de abril a las 6 a.m. Esto se aplica a todos los residentes y negocios dentro del Condado de San Lucie, las ciudades de Fort Pierce y Port St. Lucie. Los residentes no requieren un pase o una carta para mostrar a las autoridades. No están promulgando toques de queda en este momento. Seguro en el hogar significa que todos los residentes deben permanecer en el hogar lo más posible las 24 horas del día, los 7 días de la semana. En el esfuerzo por ayudar a cumplir con la orden, todas las oficinas e instalaciones del condado de San Lucie cerrarán el viernes a partir del 3 de abril. Varios departamentos del condado han cerrado o han cambiado horarios y accesos públicos limitados. Lo que los residentes pueden hacer: ir a la tienda de comestibles, conveniencia o almacén. Viaje de ida y vuelta al trabajo si su empleador es un negocio esencial o ha asegurado que pueda mantenerse al menos de 6 pies de distancia de los compañeros de trabajo o clientes. Ir a la farmacia u otros establecimientos médicos para recoger medicamentos y otras necesidades de atención médica. Asista a citas médicas pero primero consulte a su médico o proveedor médico. Vaya a un restaurante solo para llevar. Cuidar o apoyar a un amigo o familiar necesitado. Salga a caminar, corra o haga ejercicio al aire libre. Solo recuerde practicar el distanciamiento social. Eso significa al menos 6 pies entre usted y otros en la comunidad. Pasee a sus mascotas o llévelas a las oficinas veterinarias. Lleve a su hijo a donde necesite ir si lo indica un acuerdo u orden de custodia compartida. Las empresas no esenciales que no pueden mantener el distanciamiento físico requerido 6 pies para mantener a los empleados y clientes seguros deberían cerrar. Las empresas que tengan preguntas sobre cómo les afecta la orden pueden llamar al Consejo de Desarrollo Económico del Condado de San Lucie al 772-336-6250 o visitar a https://uredc.com. Los negocios esenciales incluyen tiendas de comestibles, entrega en restaurante y manejo, aerolíneas, taxis y otros proveedores de transporte privado, gasolinerías, lavanderías, oficinas veterinarias, empresas dedicadas al cultivo de alimentos, incluida la agricultura, la ganadería y la pesca, empresas que brindan refugio y servicios sociales, ferreterías y tiendas de jardinería, almacenes de armas de fuego y municiones, periódicos, televisión, radio y otros servicios de medios, negocios que proveen comida y refugio. Los servicios esenciales incluyen bomberos, primeros auxilios, policía, empleados esenciales de gobierno federal, estatal y local y personal militar, empleados de distrito escolar que presten el servicio durante este estado de emergencia, personal médico y sanitario, personal de transporte público. Para obtener información adicional y actualizaciones relacionadas con el Condado de San Lucie, Visite www.sanlucy.gov/COVID-19 o llame a las líneas de información pública al 772-460-HELP 4357 de lunes a sábado de 8 a.m. a 6 p.m.
Bon après-midi, peuple haïtien. Effectif samedi 4 avril à 6 h du matin, Saint-Lucie County passe en l'ordre Safer at Home. Ça veut dire nous avons plus de sécurité la caille pour nous continuer pour nous pas continuer gagner coronavirus là. Ça applique pour tout résident et monde qui opère business dans Fort Pierce avec Port St. Lucie. Tout peuple St. Lucie County supposé attendre l'ordre Safer at Home. Ça veut dire rester en dedans la caille 24/24, 7 jours dans la semaine si vous pas régler affaires essentielles. Effectif vendredi 3 avril, tout bureau avec facilité St. Lucie County a fermé pour nous conformer à l'ordre Safer at Home. Résidents de St. Lucie County car aller dans market ou soit magasin, voyager au travail, si côté au travail c'est un business essentiel, aller dans la pharmacie ou soit dans l'autre établissement médical pour ramasser médicaments avec l'autre nécessité soins médicaux, aller dans un rendez-vous médical, aller dans un restaurant pour acheter manger, mais on pas arrêter chita. Si porter un ami ou soit une famille qui a besoin, marcher, courir ou soit faire exercice dehors, mais faut qu'on pratique distance sociale, marcher avec bête ou soit mener yo dans bureau vétérinaire, mener petit tout côté yo gen besoin. Business qui pas essentiel, qui pas qu'à kembe distance physique 6 pieds, doit fermer. Business qui gen question sous façon l'autre ça affecté yo, car les conseils développement économique dans Saint-Lucie County, numéro ça c'est 772 336 62 50. Business essentiel c'est market, restaurant qui gen option acheter en tournant machine, compagnie avion, taxi ak l'autre transport privé. Station gaz, business machine à laver, bureau vétérinaire, business qui engagé dans cultivation, manger, qui gen agriculture, bête ak la pêche, business qui bay abri ak service social, shop qui vend matériel ak jardinage, magasin équipement pour armes ak munitions, journal, télévision, radio ak l'autre service média, business qui bay manger ak logement, service essentiel yo c'est secours du feu, premier secours yo, la police, employé gouvernement fédéral, État ak gouvernement local ak personnel militaire essentiel, employé district l'école, personnel médical ak santé, personnel transport public. Pour plus d'informations, rapport de St. Lucie County, tant pour les lignes information publique là, dans 772 460 43 57, li ouvri lundi pour samedi 8 h du matin pour 6 h p.m. Merci beaucoup.